So it is not enough to get a job and celebrate, oh, God has done it. What God cannot do does not exist. It's not enough. Immediately you receive a job offer, there are 5 things you have to look out for. Very critical as a young person. There are 5 things you need to look out for in that offer letter to ensure that you have clarity about what you are getting yourself into. And this is why a lot of people just look at what the salary is all about and then jump into a job offer. It's beyond that. You need to look at 5 things. The first thing, which is obviously the salary, you look at what is the payment structure, what makes up the salary. Is the salary clearly stated? Is it in gross? Is it in net? You need to look at it clearly. How often will you be paid? Is it monthly? Is it weekly? Are there, are there deductions or probation cuts? Never assume that everything that is not written will be given to you. Never assume so. Never assume so. So don't jump into a job with just some form of assumption that, oh, the manager said this or the manager would do this, or because the way the organization is looking, they are looking corporate, they are looking big, so they will pay, they will do this. Never assume. Every organization is different. So the moment you get a job offer, you need to check properly about those things I have mentioned. When will the payment happen? When do they pay? Is it monthly? Even if it's monthly, which day in the month do they pay? Do they pay 22nd? Do they pay 25th? Do they pay 30th? All this is to enable you understand what you are getting into, and it's also to enable you plan well. As a young person, you need to have all these details. The second thing you need to look out for is the job role and responsibility, not just the salary. What are you committing to do? What are your daily tasks? What is the typical day of someone who is a job holder in that role you have taken? So, as you wake up every day, go to that office, or you work virtually, what are the expectations from you? What are your duties? Are they clearly defined? You need to know this. Does the role matches what you discussed during the interview? Because sometimes there are ambiguity when you are having interviews with HR. And this ambiguity are somehow very different from what the offer letters might offer. So you just need to read it clearly and be sure. Does the role match what the HR told you versus what the hiring manager told you? You need to watch out clearly. Are there vague statements? Is there anything? Are there other duties that are not clearly assigned? You need to check. What are the hours you are expected to commit? Some jobs will tell you 35 hours a week. Some jobs will tell you 40 hours. Some jobs will tell you you work weekends. Some jobs will tell you you don't work weekends. You need to be clear about this. If not, some jobs will even tell you you work even past 5, past 4, 9 p.m. So you need to be clear. What are the working conditions? What are the hours? Number 3, which is the working condition I just talked about. What is the official resumption time? What is the official resumption time? Do they resume 7:30? Do they resume 8? Uh, do they close? What time do they close? When should you shut down your laptop, or when should you wash your leg off, depending on what industry you are working? When should you carry your bag and say you are going home? These things are things you need to look out for when you receive your offer. And guess what? Any assumption, someone said assumption is the lowest level of knowledge. So you don't assume anything. If there are no clarity at that point, you receive that offer letter, ask the HR or whosoever is offering that offer letter and say, please, can you clarify this? So that you are sure about what you are getting yourself into. Aside the working hours and working condition, which is number 3 points, you need to check When somebody works overtime in that organization, are there overtime policies? Do they pay? Do they not pay? So that you know. And this will help you manage frustration. I've seen cases where someone works overnight and then work extra hours and then is expected to be compensated. Then he or she is not compensated. Then she starts to grumble and murmur. So you need to watch this clearly and be sure that that organization have what we call overtime policy. And even if they have overtime policy, do they pay? Do they not pay? Are there other ways they compensate for it? You need to know. Something happened to me in an organization I used to work before. They have an overtime policy, but it's an unpaid policy. And right on top of my head, I was expecting that it's going to be a paid policy because I didn't read it. I only knew that they have overtime policy. In my head was, but someone said no. If you work overtime, you calculate the hours and take some days off. And that was after I've worked overtime for so many months before realizing this. Your case shouldn't be like mine. And that's why I'm making this video. Take your time, read your offer letter. Be sure that you understand it line by line before you sign. The fourth thing you should look out for is probation period and confirmation terms. So why is this point very critical? Some organizations will tell you their probation period is 3 months, some will tell you 6 months, and some will tell you you have to do XYZ for you to be confirmed. You need to understand that clearly. If there are any ambiguity or vagueness within that line, please ask questions before you sign. There are cases whereby you spend maybe probation period is 3 months, the organization, you see yourself spending 6 months and no one is confirming you. Don't be in that space. There are cases where they say 6 months and then you are in 6 months and no one is still confirming you. I have been in that shoes before. So the reason I couldn't ask questions at that time because I did not understand what I know now, right? So once you jump into those periods as a young professional, making your way into corporate, making yourself into the system, be sure you understand what the probation periods are and also what the terms you need to fulfill for you to be confirmed. Because some people pay you less than you should be paid, saying when you get into confirmation, your salary will be increased. If you don't understand that, you will still be earning what you are earning after you have even been confirmed because you did not read properly and you did not understand properly. So this you need to ask carefully and also understand who is the point of contact. That's if you get to confirmation, who should you reach out to? Typically, it should be your line manager. But in the case whereby your line manager fails, who should you reach out to? You need to understand if HR needs to be, it should be the point of escalation. You really need to understand that so that you can take that action. The last thing I will say is how does one exit an organization? So it's a good thing to know that you just joined this organization, even if you have a plan to stay there for years. But you need to also understand what are the conditions that might make someone to exit the organization. Most times, some organizations that are structured, you will find this in the employee handbook. But in cases where you don't find this in the employee handbook, you need to ask. And if it's in the employee handbook, please take your time and read it. The reason is that you need to understand how much notice is required to resign. Is it a 1 month? Is it a 2 month? Or can you just resign today and leave? You need to understand what the notice period is to resign. The second is, can they terminate you without notice? You need to know so that you don't wake up one morning and then boom, they say you don't have a job again. So before signing that offer letter, you need to really understand. Because if you understand that they can terminate you at any point, your mind is already prepared. And then the shock will not be much on you. And then that will also determine if it's the kind of job you want to take or it's not the kind of job you want to take. So that's why it's very critical to understand what the exit, termination, and notice period is in these organizations. Then you have to also understand under the notice, the exit, termination, and also the notice period, you need to also understand, are there penalties for early exit. That's if you exit too early before the stipulated notice period. What are the penalties? Will you be forfeiting your job? Will there be something that you do not know? You possibly might not tell, but you should be able to understand this clearly. Then always know how easy or hard it is to leave. Some organizations, leaving them is not easy. So you really need to know. I've had that experience as well. Some organization, at the point you want to leave, it's tug of war. So you need to read. Now I'll go through the 5 things I said you must look out for as a young employee before signing an offer letter. In a way of summary. The first, I said you have to look at salaries and payment structure. Number 2, I say you need to have to look at the job roles and the responsibility assigned to it. You also have to, number 3, check what is the working hours and the condition. Number 4, you need to check for probation and confirmation terms. And finally, number 5, you need to check what the exit condition are, whether the exit, the termination, and notice period are. So those are the 5 things you need to look out for. I hope this is helpful. If it is, drop me a comment and see you again in another video.